So the new chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen just dropped, and there is a lot to go through. JJK literally just gave us a bunch of Heian lore to open up with, and then we get to see 2 new Shikigami from Sukuna, which was a big and wild surprise for a lot of us. But you know what else is a wild surprise? You hitting that subscribe button, as it'll get you some more Jujutsu Kaisen content and also manga content to your sub feeds. Anyway, I hope you are all comfortable with your snacks at the ready so we can get into the details of this chapter, because it's going to be a big juicy video. So this chapter opens up showing what Yorozu actually looked like in the Heian era, and it opens up with a line of Yorozu in the Heian era lost in her thoughts. And then it goes on to explain how Yorozu's technique was causing her some distress, because in terms of pure cursed energy capacity and output, Yorozu was in no way inferior to the strongest sorcerers in the Heian era. And that little sentence there is a very nice little nugget of information there. That sentence just told us that Yorozu was and is able to go toe-to-toe with Sukuna, as we see in this chapter. And as I've said in previous videos now, I am very, very convinced that Yorozu is way stronger than she looks and definitely has more tricks up her sleeve, especially coming out of the last chapter with how upset she was that Sukuna didn't use the shrine technique. And I don't know about you, but you either have to be batshit crazy or extremely confident in your ability to get annoyed at Sukuna for not using the shrine. But the pages then go on to say how her rate of cursed energy consumption had put her more than a couple of difficult predicaments. So Yorozu then turns her attention to insects and starts studying them, learning about a butterfly that could fly across the sea and how a hornet could fly 100 kilometers in one day. And then this gives Yorozu a hint of a solution to her problem. Yorozu realized that some insects were able to lift objects many more times heavier than and bigger than themselves, and also exhibit jaw strength and jumping power as well as speed that was inconceivable for their small size. So after learning all of this, Yorozu came to the conclusion that her insect armor was the pinnacle of construction technique, and seeing what Yorozu can do with this construction technique makes me wonder just how powerful Mai would have gotten if she was still alive to hone her technique in this series even further, because Yorozu is dead-ass trading blows and inflicting damage on Sukuna in this chapter, and we'll get into that in a second here. But the chapter goes on to say how Yorozu's combat style allowed her to turn the tables on the Gokusho, or the 5 Void Generals, which was a subjugation unit under the direct command of the Toshi that stands shoulder to shoulder with the Celestial Squad, which was led by Uro. Now, if you're a bit lost, that's a bit fine, because there are some names in there that we've never heard of before, and JJK was kind enough to give us a few extras in there for a frame of reference. And Uro led a squad back in the Heian era called the Celestial Squad, and Yorozu basically mid-diffed a squad that was equal to that level by herself. Again, another hint in this chapter that Yorozu is no pushover, and there's definitely more to her than meets the eyes, and I'm pushing this Yorozu agenda strong in this video. But the chapter then further nails home this feat by saying how this feat permitted their entrance into the Fujiwara clan, which would make Yorozu's name Yorozu Fujiwara, I think. Not 100% on that one. But again, if the name Fujiwara sounds familiar to you, then it should, because Uro, the leader of the Celestial Squad who Yuta fought, used Fujiwara as a sort of insult when they were having a back and forth with Yuta pre and mid-fight. So it's kind of nice that JJK is circling back and trying to tie up all these little Heian lore nuggets here. But again, please, JJK, I am literally begging you. I'm on my hands and knees. Give us a Heian era flashback, please. You're so close to it. I can smell it. It's almost there. Anyway, as the chapter progresses here, we see Yorozu laying hands on Sukuna, like she is genuinely giving Sukuna the work right now. And I want to say this now to further drill home the point of Yorozu being stronger than we realize. She's the only one in the series so far that has fought a 15-finger Sukuna, and is not only landing blows, but also drawing blood. And yeah, Yuji also landed blows, and so did Maki. However, I'm not counting that because one, Sukuna, he didn't have his full cursed energy output. He was having it dampened, and he was operating at around 10%, whereas what we see here right now is a full output Sukuna with 15 fingers being unhindered. And Yorozu is trading blows with this man. She's giving him the work right now. But as Yorozu is giving this man the Dragon Ball Z combo, punching him away, appearing behind him, and then kicking this man's head in and sending him flying, while also doing this, she is screaming at him that he he is still not going to use the shrine, and again, further nailing home that Yorozu agenda right now, that Yorozu is either stronger than we know or is just simply batshit crazy. You decide in the comments below. But Yorozu ends up chasing down Sukuna while screaming at him to cut her up and slice her open, and about how her love is buried within her flesh and could be a massive reach here. But Yuta used basically the power of love in Jujutsu Kaisen 0 here. And Uro called Yuta a Fujiwara. And now Yorozu, who is now actually a part of the Fujiwara, is also seemingly using the power of love. And maybe this is a very big stretch here and I might pull a muscle here, but maybe the Fujiwara knows something about the secret of Jujutsu and the power of love in a same fashion that Sukuna knows the secrets of Jujutsu, being absolutely selfish. So again, that could be a very, very big reach here, but it feels like there's certain things that are popping up here that just has a common denominator of love and the power of it. But yeah, you guys know I love a crazy crackpot theory. That's what I'm here for. Let me know in the comments below how wrong or correct I am about that one. But as Yorozu chases down Sukuna here, she tries to cover Sukuna in this liquid metal. However, Sukuna is having none of this and just simply summons a new Shikigami called Tranquil Deer. And it's a Shikigami with a case technique, and it's also a very interesting one. This technique neutralizes and cancels the cased energy flowing through Yorozu's liquid metal, causing it to basically just disappear, as well as also being able to use RCT on Sukuna. So there's a couple of things here that I want to point out. One, this is the first time we've seen an opponent force Sukuna to use RCT from wounds inflicted in a battle, and before anyone says,
actually, we use RCT to heal Yuki's wounds in the hand after the special grade her spirits damaged it.
That damage was done before Sukuna took over. And that spirit also didn't even do any damage once Sukuna had taken over at the beginning of the series. And then number two, the deer is now a potential option for the unsealing of Gojo here, should Sukuna ever get bored and want a stronger opponent to have beef with, which potentially could be the case here. The deer is now an option because it seems to be able to cancel out cast techniques by removing cast energy. If the prison realm holds cast energy, then he can cancel it out and potentially unseal Gojo without Kenjaku's knowledge or even without Angel. So we now potentially have 3 routes to unseal Gojo here, which is insane. And then finally, number 3, Sukuna has the wheel of Mahoraga behind his head this entire fight. Now you might have thought, I haven't mentioned this yet. I didn't forget about it. I definitely saw it. It was there. But this wheel doesn't seemingly do anything. So now my theory here is that this is Sukuna using this as a section of Mahoraga's ability, and he's using it as a contingency plan just in case Yorozu deals some massive damage that he is unable to use RCT for. But then there is also the fact that Sukuna is using this one item from the Mahoraga, which makes me wonder whether he can just summon that sort of extermination in a similar manner to the way Megumi was storing weapons in the shadows when Megumi was with us, RIP. And then it also begs the question of, if Sukuna can do that, then the fight between him and Gojo then gets scarily closer, because if Sukuna has access to the sort of extermination, then that kind of just neutralizes Gojo's infinity, I'm pretty sure. So that's a scary one to think about if that is the case, that Sukuna can just summon tools specifically from these Shikigami. But it still doesn't stop there. Sukuna then summons a second, also new Shikigami in the form of a bull, which sends Yorozu absolutely flying, and the two trade blows. But we learn that Sukuna has basically been partially summoning Shikigami to allow for a larger effective attack ranges while still keeping them from falling apart, basically. So Sukuna is modifying the way that he is summoning these Shikigami, and honestly, this man Sukuna is making Megumi look like a damn fool with his own technique. And my theory here for this situation is one of two things. This one's a bit of copium filled. One, Sukuna is a previous 10 Shadows user, and that's why he was so invested in Megumi, because he knows just the power of the technique and what it can do, or possibly lost access to it somehow. Not sure how. Maybe it was a previous vessel, maybe it was a previous body, not sure. That's the copium filled side. But then there's the number 2 here, which is probably the most likely, and that is that Sukuna is simply just Timothy fucking Jenkins, and has just been able to do all of this with the little amount of knowledge that Megumi has acquired on the technique since he's taken over Megumi as a vessel. And I'll let you guys decide that one in the comments down below. Personally, I'm probably leaning towards the more reasonable one here, that Sukuna is just simply Timothy Timothy fucking Jenkins right now. But as the chapter carries on, Yorozu and the bull trade blows, with Yorozu realizing that the bull can actually only move in a straight line here, but the longer that line is, the more power behind it. Basically it's just Juggernaut from the Marvelverse here, and Yorozu is basically a Spider-Man and or fusion of basically every insect-based character from the Marvelverse right now. As Yorozu and the bull trade blows, Sukuna then uses Escape Rabbit to cloud Yorozu's vision and then jumps into the sky. Now, someone in my Discord, shout out Plank, pointed out that this just seems random now that all of a sudden Sukuna can sort of fly or float all of a sudden. However, I think what he's done here isn't flying or floating. I think what he has done here is use the summoned escape rabbits and use them basically as stepping stones to basically just gain height, and while he's in the air it kind of looks like he's floating, but he's just in the air momentarily because of the jump. And you can see the little tap marks there as he's like tapped away and got up there. But while Sukuna is just vibing in the sky for a few seconds here, he then goes ahead and summons the Max Elephant and just drops that boy on top of Yorozu. Like, in this one fight, Sukuna has almost used nearly enough every Shikigami in the arsenal, and then has used them in ways that we've never even seen before. He is just simply him right now. The Max Elephant then lands on Yorozu, breaking her armor apart, and Sukuna just lands in front of her, saying how it's just as he thought. There was simply no need for him to use the shrine technique. And he then goes into troll mode and asks Yorozu if that is all her so-called love has to offer. But then Yorozu then going on to say how it's not even close, and she's just only getting started about teaching Sukuna about love. Again, another hint here to really nail down that Yorozu definitely has more tricks up her sleeve than we realize, with her then going on to say how she understands more than anyone the loneliness that comes from peerless strength, and that might be a hint that she could be on the same level as Sukuna right now, or at least that's what it sounds like to me, at the very least anyway. I could be again tripping and making a reach on that one, but that's how I've interpreted that statement right there. But as Yorozu says this, Sukuna literally just laughs at her. Like, this is where we get a little bit more on Sukuna, with Yorozu seemingly coming to the realization that Sukuna may already know about love, and from this realization, Yorozu is set off big time, with her screaming how that is not love and that Sukuna is mistaken, and she'll show him what real love looks like. And Yorozu then goes on to say how she'll show him and she'll construct it. And then she goes on to say, my heart. Now, if I didn't know any better, I would say that that sounds like a domain expansion is about to be opened, which will be a really cool thing to see how Sukuna deals with it if it is a domain expansion, because it then raises the questions of, one, is it barrierless the same way Sukuna and Kajaku's have been? Because seemingly everyone else from the Heian era right now is either an absolute domain god or has a way to counter it in some way, shape, or form. Two, will he just tank it as he has done and will just deal with it, or will he use the Malevolent Shrine to counter it, or will he use the Chimera Shadow Garden domain to counter it? Like, the theories off the back of this chapter go crazy. But that is everything from me. This has been a juicer review video. I think this might actually be the biggest chapter review video that I've done so far, because there was a lot to break down in this video. But if you did enjoy this video, please make sure to like and subscribe, because we are on our way to 8,000 subscribers, and it'd be kind of cool if this video got us to 8,000. That'd be kind of sick. But yeah, that is everything from me. As always, catch you guys all in the next one. Much love, big kisses, peace.